So fellas, everybody's favourite fighter Jon Jones is now back in the headlines again, this time filming a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter. That's right, he's in Thailand with Nate Diaz, filming a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter. And a lot of people are concerned again, and have kind of brought up the question of if Jon Jones is going to fight again.
But you are still active. 10 years left. But you are still active.
He said you got 10 years left, but you're still active.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm done.
So in this clip, you can see Jon Jones saying, "I'm done," to this random guy asking if he's going to fight again. But even away from that clip, does this look like a dude who's motivated to fight again? I mean, think about it. This guy's a multi-millionaire. He's had a long resume. He's considered by a lot of people the greatest of all time. 37 years old. Does this look like a guy who wants to fight again, who wants to come back to the UFC and compete at the highest level? And not just compete against anybody, but against Tom Aspinall, the guy who's knocking everybody out in the first round, in his prime, 32 years old. The guy with the 100% finish rate and shortest average fight time in UFC history. Fuck no, he doesn't want to come back and face that dude. I wouldn't want to face that dude if I'm in Jon Jones' position either. So does this really seem like a guy who's motivated to fight in Thailand with Nate Diaz filming a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter? I wouldn't want to come back and fight Tom Aspinall too.
I got people in the chat calling me a duck while I'm living my absolute best life. I don't know if it's considered ducking.
Yes, John, that is literally the definition of a duck. I mean, if you've got the option of fighting Tom Aspinall and living your best life, and you pick living your best life, that is literally the definition of a duck. Could you imagine Dricus du Plessis refused to fight Khamzat Chimaev, said no to Khamzat Chimaev because he wanted to live his best life? Or if Alexander Volkanovski said, no, not going to be fighting Evloev, that's not an option because he wanted to live his best life. But to be fair to Jon Jones, I can kind of see the logic. You don't want to fight Tom Aspinall yet because you know if you do fight Tom Aspinall, there's a high chance that you get put on your arse, you get knocked out, and therefore you can't really live your best life after getting beaten by Tom Aspinall. But then he really just brings up the question, why not just simply vacate the belt, dip, leave the UFC, vacate the belt, everybody's happy. Jon Jones gets to live his best life and probably ends up behind bars. The heavyweight division stays moving and so does Tom Aspinall. Everybody's happy. This guy tweets at Jon Jones saying, "Enjoy your last days of champ before being stripped, I see, John." And he responds saying, "Stripped? Lol, do I come across as the type of person who cares about things like that?" Yeah, you do. I mean, this is the same guy who refused to shake Stipe's hand because Stipe said, "Bring it, bitch," in the countdown. Isn't this the same guy that called Tom Aspinall an asshole multiple times at the UFC 309 Media Day because Aspinall respectfully called him out?
Hello, John.
Is this the same guy that had a Twitter meltdown because Islam Makhachev was pound for pound #1 instead of him, despite Makhachev, you know, fighting on a consistent basis and Jon Jones fighting out on average once a year, if that? Jon Jones, you're one of the most sensitive fighters in the UFC right now. You are definitely the type of guy to complain and find a way to bitch about the fact that, you know, you're going to get stripped from the belt. Yes, otherwise you'd have vacated the belt a long time ago because you don't plan to fight Tom, this guy says. Jones responds, "You're barking up the wrong tree. I told the UFC my plans a long time ago. I have no clue why they haven't shared them with you guys yet." Well, why hasn't the fight been made? I mean, I know it's quite a broad question, but let's say the three main factors in this fight are Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, and the UFC Dana White, whoever works there. Well, Tom Aspinall's the victim in this. We know that Tom Aspinall wants to fight. He said it on multiple different occasions. We don't even have to worry about Tom Aspinall saying yes. We already know he's in this fight. So Tom Aspinall, he's already ticked off. And then the UFC, I mean, this would be the biggest fight in modern UFC history. You go to any UFC post, even if it's completely irrelevant to Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, you've got people in the comment section talking about the Aspinall versus Jones fight. The UFC, Dana White, they know that Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall is the biggest fight that they could put on right now. So I have a hard time believing that the UFC wouldn't be on board with this fight, which leaves us with one guy left, and it's Mr. Jon Jones himself. I mean, you're in Thailand training with Nate Diaz out of shape. I'm going to be honest, John. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to point fingers, but it's probably going to be you who's the one stopping this fight from happening. I mean, I don't see the UFC and Aspinall out there in Thailand filming a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter. I have a sneaky suspicion that it might be John holding this fight up. And by the way, just the hypocrisy of Jon Jones as well. I remember his fight with Cyril Gane when he was complaining about the fact that Cyril Gane was playing FIFA on Fight Week, and then he tweeted at the end of 2024 saying success is a luck, it's a decision, and the discipline to stick to it, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's compare Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones in 2025. While Aspinall's been training hard, Jon Jones, you've been out there doing side quests. Aspinall's been sparring at the highest level against other heavyweights, and Jon Jones is with Nate Diaz in Thailand filming for their episode of The Ultimate Fighter in Russia. Maybe Jon Jones have said November 2025. Maybe November's the time in MSG, but that's 1 year of no movement in the heavyweight division. And this just doesn't impact Tom Aspinall. This isn't just a year out of Tom Aspinall's prime. What about the rest of the division? Jelton Almeida's called out Cyril Gane Volkov. The guy's gone mad. He's even called out Magomed Ankalaev for a chance at the light heavyweight belt. This guy's thirsty for a fight, but he can't because there's no movement in the title picture at heavyweight. Even Curtis Blades, who's just been knocked out by Tom Aspinall, has said that Jon Jones should be stripped and Aspinall should have been the champion. The heavyweight division is and has been and probably will be in a state for the past couple of years to come. I mean, look at the heavyweight top 5 right now in 2025, and then go look at the heavyweight top 5 in 2024, and let's take it a step further. Look at the heavyweight top 5 in 2023. Notice a pattern. It's the exact same guys at the top. Your Tom Aspinalls, your Jones, your Garns, Pavlovich, Volkov, Blades. It's the exact same guys at the top, and it has been for the past 3 years. Jones tweets saying, been out here in Thailand, enjoying life, stuffing my face every day, and I swear I'm losing weight somehow. The quality food is amazing, so delicious, so clean. I mean, John, when you tweet something saying while you're enjoying the day eating junk, blazing up, and then you go out there and tweet that you've been stuffing your face in Thailand, it's kind of a bit hypocritical to your own point there, John. And now bros with Hasbulla. I mean, what is it with John trying to pick fights with people who can't really defend themselves? I mean, you're now fighting a midget. We all know your history of fighting people who can't really defend themselves. Even in your own career, your entire career in the light heavyweight division was pretty much middleweight. And the two guys that you fought at heavyweight was Cyril Gane, a part-timer who's more of a content creator who can't grapple, and Stipe Miocic, who's a 42-year-old retired firefighter. But you conveniently didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall, and you're still refusing to fight Tom Aspinall even though you've been backed up into a corner. And by the way, Tom Aspinall's at least got balls. He took on Sergey Pavlovich, the scariest KO artist in the UFC, on a week's notice with an injured back. And even Francis Ngannou, you've refused to fight Ngannou because you were quote-unquote bulking up, and then you've got Ngannou going into the boxing, and fair enough, it was for a paycheck, but he takes on the two best heavyweight boxers at the time outside of Usyk in a boxing match. And you look at your last 5 fights, you went to 5 rounds to a decision with Anthony Smith. You barely beat Thiago Santos. You didn't beat Dominic Reyes. That was one of the biggest robberies in UFC history. And then you fight Cyril Gane, who can't grapple, and a 42-year-old Stipe Miocic. And now you've gone to the extent of calling out fat retired DC. DC's doing his thing in WWE. That guy ain't anywhere near competition shape. Even DC responded, I'm retired, I'm done, I'm 46, I'm washed up. How about you fight the dude that's actually wanting to fight you? And DC speaking facts. And then in UFC 309 Media Day, calling out Jamal Hill and Derek Lewis. What? Does this look like a guy who's willing to fight the best? Does this look like the baddest man on the planet?
On my command, my team has global.
What am I seeing? I mean, listen, I'm not going to point fingers and assume anyone's sexuality here, but he's changed his name to Johnny Meat on Twitter. He's posing zesty faces for the camera for the UFC. He's now cuddled up to some random Russian dude on a motorbike.
I'm going to make him my wife.
He's conveniently gone over to Thailand. Maybe there's some ladyboys over there. I don't know. I'm not really bothered about Jon Jones' interest in what, sexuality he is. But I'm just saying, Jon Jones, there's been a lot of weird stuff going out recently, and especially in Thailand with this trip that he's got going on with these Russian dudes. I'm not really sure what's going on.
I'm over here sipping on coconut, talking about when you gonna fight.
I'm not even trying to take the piss, but John, you're the heavyweight champion. I don't understand the humor in people asking you to fight the #1 contender. And is it just me, or is John actually starting to kind of sound like a duck? Let's just compare them both right now. I don't know if this is some sort of weird coincidence or if he's kind of actually turning into one physically, but dude, the comparisons between John being a duck, far from the behavioral patterns, is kind of weird.
Life is good. This is my work office.
Have you guys noticed that Jon Jones always has to convince people that his life is amazing? Like, he's always saying, oh, look at my life, I'm living the dream, my life's amazing. He'll respond to every hater saying this, tweeting things like, oh, I'm loving my life here in Thailand, I'm living the dreams, I'm winning in life, blah, blah, blah. Always tweeted about how he's loving life. You already knew when Aspinall was facing Curtis Blades, Jon Jones was hoping that Curtis Blades would beat Tom Aspinall so he could retire on a good send-off. Or when Pereira was beating Ankalaev, he was hoping that Pereira could beat Ankalaev so he kind of has a bit of a rebound match instead of Tom Aspinall. And John, if life is so good, why are you still the heavyweight champion? If the answer is because you want to fight and you still want to compete, then why hasn't the fight with Tom Aspinall been made? Why are you trying to avoid that fight so badly? And if the other answer is that you don't want to fight because life is so good, then again, it goes back to the simple answer, why not just vacate the belt? I don't understand John. He's one of the most hypocritical fighters in the UFC right now. Nobody's saying that you can't enjoy your life. Nobody's saying that you live a miserable life. But the fact that you seem to respond to every Instagram comment that says so, and the the fact that you're simply refusing to fight Tom Aspinall. Nobody cares about your personal life apart from when you're in prison. We just want to see the heavyweight division move on. This guy comments saying, bro, really wasted Thomas Prime like that, no respect at all. Jones replies, cry more. I mean, Jones, it seems to be you being the guy that's crying more. I mean, you cried when you got caught by the cops. You cried after you got stripped for taking steroids. You cried after Dominic Reyes put a beat down on you. So I'm just not really sure what's going on with Jon Jones. He's now in Thailand, filming a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter. He's been tweeting left, right, and center. He thinks he's trying to convince us that he's living the dream life, but in reality, Jon, we know you're not. We know you're trying to use everything away or to get away from this Tom Aspinall fight. But let me know your thoughts on what's going on with Jon. He's in Thailand. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching.